Welcome, Radiant Leo souls. Whether you're a longtime member of this cosmic pride or a curious newcomer who stumbled in after a late-night scroll whispering, "Why do I feel both fabulous and frustrated at the same time?" You've found your way to Golden Fortune Leo, and let me assure you, that's no accident. This channel isn't just about horoscopes and horoscope memes, though we do enjoy a good Mercury retrograde meltdown gif now and then. Here, we dig deep into the ancient architecture of your zodiac DNA, decode the psychological patterns that run your emotional operating system, and stir in just enough Buddhist calm to keep us from setting everything on fire when our inner lion gets poked. Now, let's get to the heart of it, because if you've always felt like you were made for something bigger, grander, more luminous than the average daily grind, I'm here to tell you, you're not being dramatic. You're remembering. There's a kind of spiritual amnesia that's been placed over Leos for generations, a thick fog of cultural conditioning that whispers, "Don't shine too brightly," or "Tone it down, you're making others uncomfortable." As someone who has spent decades studying astrology, soul psychology, and the subtle energetic patterns that run beneath the surface of human behavior, I can say this without hesitation: your belief in your own greatness isn't arrogance. It's a soul-level memory of the original flame you were born with. And yes, I said original flame. This is not a motivational slogan, nor a yoga candle scent. It's a real, vibrational frequency that Leos uniquely carry, a frequency that, if fully awakened and properly directed, would quite literally melt mediocrity on sight. Imagine a world where every Leo walked around fully lit, fully alive, fully unapologetic. Do you think false systems of control would stand a chance? Not a chance in the zodiac. So no, this isn't conspiracy talk, it's energy talk. The kind of talk that's been quietly suppressed not through some Illuminati plot, but through subtler forms of spiritual red tape. Little phrases, little nudges, starting from childhood: "Don't be so full of yourself. Let others go first. You don't always need to be in the spotlight." Sound familiar? But you, my dear Leo, were never meant to blend in. You were born to burn brilliantly. And here at Golden Fortune Leo, we're not just fanning the flames, we're handing you the torch. Ah, Leo. If no one has told you this today, let me be the first. You are not just a fire sign, you are the fire starter, the bearer of what ancient mystics once reverently called the original flame. Now, I know that sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, but trust me, this isn't poetic fluff or some vague new age slogan. It's vibrational physics. Real. Measurable. Magnetic. You weren't built to blend in. You weren't sent here to dim. You carry a frequency, yes, a literal energetic signature that lights people up, sometimes comforts them, sometimes triggers them, and often leaves them wondering why they suddenly feel like quitting their job, moving to Bali, or falling in love. That's not just presence. That's ignition. That's you. The tragedy? Nobody ever gave you the owner's manual. When you were born, the universe handed you a Ferrari of cosmic energy, and instead of a how-to guide, you got, "Calm down, you're being too much," or my personal favorite, "Life's not all about you." Spoiler alert, for Leos, it kinda is in the most spiritually generous way possible. So you've been out here trying to navigate life's chaos with the raw power of a solar flare, while being told to act like a nightlight. And let's not ignore how early the pruning began. Your brilliance was trimmed down like bonsai roots, shaped into what others considered acceptable. Don't show off. Let others have the spotlight. Humility is beautiful. Sure, humility is nice in moderation. But telling a Leo to hide their light is like telling the sun to take a personal day. What happens instead is confusion. Internal tension. You know you're powerful, but you feel wrong for it. You want to lead, but hesitate. You sense you're meant for more, but keep second-guessing every bold move. Let me be clear, this isn't personality conflict. This is energetic sabotage, the cosmic equivalent of having your cape tucked into your collar while trying to fly. But here's the good news, that flame? It's still there. And it's not going anywhere. The question is, will you keep apologizing for it, or will you finally learn how to use it? Let's talk patterns, Leo, because as someone who's spent a lifetime immersed in the intersection of astrology, soul psychology, and a little Zen detachment, I've seen this movie play out more times than I can count. And spoiler alert, it's not your fault. If you're an early August Leo, you were born with the instincts of a general, strategic, brave, visionary. Yet somehow, you keep handing the wheel to people who can't even drive stick. If you're a mid-August Leo, you're a creative powerhouse, ideas spilling out of you like solar flares, but it feels like every time you speak up, the world replies with a polite, "That's cute." Anyway, and for my late August Lions, you've got the most frustrating script of all, this constant, gnawing sense that you're not quite living up to your potential, even though you can't point to exactly what's missing. These aren't flaws. This isn't just life. These are classic symptoms of a suppressed Leo fire. A dimmed flame. The kind that flickers behind polite smiles and spiritual bypassing but still burns, just beneath the surface, begging to break through. And let's be honest, you were that kid. The one who entered a room and people turned to look, even if you said nothing. You didn't demand attention, you gravitated it. But then came the chorus of adults, teachers, peers, maybe even your own inner critic whispering, "Don't be too much. Let others have the spotlight." The world, afraid of its own reflection, tried to muffle the very brilliance it needed most. And you, being the kind-hearted royal you are, tried to comply. But here's the spiritual truth, and the Buddha in me smiles at this one: dimming your light helps no one. It doesn't keep others safe. It keeps them uninspired. Your light was never about outshining. It's about illuminating. The original flame wasn't meant to be hidden, managed, or diluted. It's not a PR campaign, it's a soul contract. And it sure as heck isn't supposed to be apologized for. A real Leo doesn't compete, they glow. They say, "This is what's possible, not look at me." And after decades of working with the so-called chosen ones, those brave enough to stop shrinking, I've watched lives transform. Not because they became something new, but because they finally stopped pretending to be something smaller. Let's get something straight, Leo, because I've watched too many of you noble, golden-hearted beings confuse shrinking with humility, and it's time we call that what it really is: spiritual arrogance in disguise. Yes, I said it. It might sound counterintuitive at first, but hear me out. When you dim your light to make others comfortable, you're not being modest, you're basically telling the universe, "Hey, you overdid it with me. Maybe ease up on the charisma next time." And if there's one thing my years of studying cosmic design, psychological archetypes, and even a few lifetimes worth of karma have taught me, it's this: the universe doesn't make mistakes. If you were built radiant, it's because radiance is needed. Who are you to argue with Source? As the Buddhists wisely remind us, your task is not to seek greatness, but to remove the veils that keep you from seeing you already are. In other words, you're not becoming anything, you're just remembering what you've been all along: a living, breathing invitation for others to rise. Now, let's talk about what humility really is, because true humility has nothing to do with playing small. It's not about hiding in the shadows or taking a spiritual vow of invisibility. Real humility is sacred responsibility. When you take up space, when you lead with heart, when you speak the truth even if your voice shakes, you're not just serving your own destiny, you're sparking transformation in everyone around you. It's like lighting 1,000 candles with one torch. Your flame doesn't diminish by sharing it. It multiplies. And if you're sitting there waiting for the perfect moment to start owning that light, Let me gently nudge you with some tough love. There is no perfect moment. You will never feel fully ready. There is no cosmic green light where the stars align, your self-doubt evaporates, and everyone sends you flowers for being brave. Authenticity doesn't come from preparation, it comes from movement. You grow into your power by walking through the fire, not by waiting for it to cool down. Courage, my dear Leo, isn't about being fearless. It's about staring fear in the face and saying, "Not today, sweetheart." You weren't built for caution tape. You were built for the spotlight, the stage, the roar. The world doesn't need another muted version of you. It needs you fully lit, fully alive, and finally unapologetic. Let's address the elephant in the zodiac, Leo. This idea that shining brightly makes you too much. You worry that people will resent your radiance, that being fully seen will somehow invite judgment or isolation. But here's the truth from someone who's spent a lifetime studying star maps and the quiet corners of the human psyche. 9 out of 10 people aren't threatened by your light, they're starving for it. They've just been waiting for anyone to go first. And guess what? That someone is you. You're not just the flame. You're the spark. The matchstick. The walking ignition switch with good hair and better instincts. When you finally stop playing small and reclaim your fire, things start moving in ways that feel almost magical, but they're not magic. They're alignment. Synchronicities show up like old friends. Creative blocks vanish like fog in sunlight. You lead not with force, but with flow, because suddenly leadership feels less like a burden and more like breathing. And love? Oh, it finally feels like home, deep, real, and emotionally safe, not because you dimmed yourself to be lovable, but because you owned your worth and attracted someone who could handle the wattage. And the biggest shift of all? You stop fighting yourself. You stop apologizing for being you. No more filtering your joy, second-guessing your brilliance, or pretending to be half as fierce as you truly are. The inner war ends. Peace begins. That whole humble versus brilliant narrative. Fiction. A tired myth built to keep radiant souls like you in check. You can absolutely be both dazzling and grounded, majestic and relatable. You're not here to pick between being accepted or being authentic. You're here to prove they can live side by side. Your job isn't to dim so others don't feel insecure, it's to embody your truth so they realize they can too. You, dear Leo, were born to be a beacon in a world that often forgets how to shine. And this flame you carry? It's not a personality trait, it's a cosmic assignment. It's not optional anymore. Because whether you know it or not, your courage to be fully yourself is someone else's permission to do the same. So stop waiting. Light it up. The world needs what only you can bring. If something in this message stirred you, if your chest tightened, your gut buzzed, or your heart whispered, "Yes, finally, someone said it," don't keep that moment to yourself. Say something. Drop a comment below. Yes, it helps the algorithm. We're not above a little cosmic SEO, but more importantly, putting truth into words anchors it into your body. It makes it real. Writing it out is your first act of reclaiming the flame. And who knows? Your comment might be the spark that helps another Leo stop playing small. Let's turn this into a flame chain, a ripple effect of lit up lions choosing courage over comfort, joy over judgment, and soul over silence. And if you haven't already, subscribe. Hit that little bell icon. Not because I told you to, but because your flame is calling you back. You didn't find golden fortune, Leo, by accident. You were energetically nudged here, summoned even, because this isn't the end, it's the beginning. What you just watched, that was only the prologue. The next chapters will take you even deeper into your power, your purpose, your wild, radiant self. You've always had the fire. That was never the question. Now you have the awareness. So here's the real question: what are you going to do with it? Will you starve the flame with doubt, perfectionism, and the fear of being too much? Or will you finally give it oxygen and set the world ablaze with your truth, your creativity, your joy? Because, dear Leo, life isn't meant to be endured, it's meant to be performed. Loudly. Boldly. With that unapologetic laugh and glittering soul of yours leading the way. So go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to Golden Fortune Leo. Not because it boosts the numbers, although it does, but because you deserve to be reminded again and again that your light is not only allowed, it's needed.